Hello again. You're going to have to start telling me what you want to see. I've got so many projects running, I don't know where to start. Oh no! So the platforms are more or less ready. I haven't yet found a stripe for the front. I'm working on that, and there's a few rough spots still. I love the stains on this. I don't know where they've come from, but I like them. Sort of my first unintentional weathering. It's going to get covered up. Alrighty, so that's the platforms. We're well on the way with that. The shelf layout's gone. I've just got to take the hooks off the wall. It only ever was stored there. So now I've got to build that up into a viaduct or something. Well, I've nearly finished my tea. What I'm hearing is that the Bachmann gronks are wider than the Hornby gronks. Who knew that would be a thing? Trying to show you there. Obviously the camera can't see both sides at the same time, but there is quite a bit of stick out. This is a Bachmann version. So my theory is if I ever were to get another one, and it were Bachmann, it would fit. And if it were Hornby, since they're narrower, it would fit too. Quite like a blue one, really. The object of the exercise tonight is to think about what I'm going to do here. I'm going to prop you up and get a tape measure. Hold on. Main station. There are canopies that go here. I've just noticed how big the gap in that rail has opened up. That's interesting. Must be cold down here. There are canopies, and what we've talked about is putting the... Are you all right in there? We've talked about putting the station here. Let me try and illustrate what I've got in mind. Over and over again with this layout, there is the dynamic tension of deciding, do I just rip it all out and start again? I can't. Or do I adapt and fix the mistakes I've made in the past one at a time? Well, sometimes it's going to have to be a bit of both. But in this instance, we're going to try and make the best of what is. Now then, do you remember the placemat playground? That scene there is just a drop-in scene. It was all modelled on the kitchen table and we just dropped it in right there. Well, the idea is to do something similar again, only this time it will be the station. We'll have all kinds of measurement problems and all kinds of fun and games, I'm sure. But somewhere there, the station. There's our general contractor looking at the scene, and he thinks it's a big job. He's not wrong. So let me just give you some of the immediate parameters. First of all, these platforms look quite wide. I'm going to measure them for you. They are an old-fashioned 3 inches wide. 8 centimeters would be 20 feet. So they're under 20 feet. Do you see that? It doesn't really matter what you do. That starts to become an issue. The next parameter is the height of this viaduct. Or high-level line. It won't really be a viaduct by definition, but would be on a retaining wall of some sort. A wall there to stop people falling over, perhaps. Don't know. Now, the high-level lines have been constructed to give minimum for me to get my hand under and still be able to get the trains out from underneath, and it's tight even at that. I'm going to measure that for you to show you that height. So there you go. It's 3.5 inches deck to deck. Again, that's what, 9 centimeters. So over 20 feet this time. Now, about the height. I've always had a problem with having a tunnel without sufficient dirt on top. This is bare minimum. In real life, this would probably have been a cutting, because it would have been significantly cheaper just to shovel the dirt out of the way than to have to line a tube with bricks. The only justification would be if there was something special on top and that the terrain were getting taller. Exceptions to such rules, of course, are when there are man-made structures. So you've got a cut and cover situation going on. So why do I bring that up? Well, if we're going to do an above platform station, there has to be clearance under the station for the trains. There's not going to be a whole lot of room if we make the station board level with the tracks. Now, I'd love to do that because then we could fake a level crossing, but we're going to have to be really careful with that. One of the other projects I have going is the shelf layout. And I've shown you all of the cables sticking through underneath that. Now, there's a layout on the other side of this, but this connection here sticks out a goodly amount. That's a street light. So we're going to have to be careful, no matter what we do, that the depth between the deck and the trains underneath is sufficient for anything that goes through to have space to go through. We're also going to have to be very, very tidy with wires underneath. The next critical dimension will be how much of this do we want to cover up. I've decided we want to end feed the platforms. I'll show you why. If I center feed, so I have, there's my tripod. If I have stairs going down this way and that way, the stairs are going to have to be almost the width of the platform, and there's no room for lifts. So it's a little awkward. It's a lot of construction, and I've got to get it right. I have looked around for stairs. If anybody's got any ideas, help me. But if I put a station there and the stairs come down underneath and the lifts come down underneath, you can get away with a whole lot more without significant modeling skills required, as it were. But how long do I make, or how wide it will be, do I make this? Want to get almost to the end of the platforms, if not right over them. So let's say there, so that if you look under the end, you would see the ramps down. And if you were able to look under there, you would see the steps or the lifts stroke elevators going down onto the platforms, leaving long platforms and the double length of the canopies going that way. Thickness is also going to be a thing. I'm going to let you into a secret. On the main board, I was very careful. Lovely, lovely ply, nice strong frame. On the upper deck, I took all kinds of risks, thinking if it doesn't work, I can replace it. I used threaded rod bars and everything to get it all level. It's as warped as who knows what. This is, let me show you what it is. Do you see the floor? It's that. So under there is floor. I had a few panels left over. In fact, you can see the join there. So I used whatever I had. It was an attempt to curtail expenditure. Often a bad move. Anyway, that's what we have. It wouldn't be a massive job to redo that because that particular piece is only, I don't know, 12 feet long or something like that. But again, my goal is to salvage as much as I possibly can and deal with what is rather than what I wish was. But we do have to join on to the front of that or step up and come out from that to get our station to break the fourth wall. Now size, I've had a dig around and I found a piece of, what is this stuff? I don't know. Foam core, is that what you call it? It's a great big piece. It's obviously not strong enough to make the layout, but it might be big enough to make a template. The next issue will be buildings. I have this. There we go. I've propped it up on a chunk of wood. So a station building somewhere there. But why have we got steps up? Well, the reason the steps are up on that building is because when you walk through the building, you come out on the platform, which we don't need, which makes everything too high. This building really isn't suitable. Why would you go up before you go down? Also, to have the stairs and lifts inside that building, a little bit of a stretch. Might be. I'm sure somebody will come up with a prototype. I'm trying to use what I have rather than what I don't have. But let's have a look online and see what else Metcalfe make and see what else is available, and we'll have a look at that. I wonder where that window went. It's probably inside. So yeah, it's something of that sort of stature, but not that. Generally speaking, the distance is from about there somewhere to about there somewhere. This limit will be leaving 2 canopy widths that way. I don't want the canopies running off the edge or even all the way to the end. Since this platform is longer, it's probably going to be no more than there. There has to be somebody standing out here with an umbrella. And you see the dirty mark. That was an accident, but I actually kind of like it. Where the steam trains sit outside of the canopy. They used to sometimes make a big mess inside, but we're going to be proper and have ours sticking out. So somewhere there. So the distance then I'm going to measure down that way and then try and avoid coming too far this way. So that will give me a sort of kinda, and I'll get some measurements on that. That's relatively straightforward. Then we've got the thickness of the deck. I have some of this. If I can cheat down to the level of that, I would be a happy bunny. I thought I was going to have to be up from there, but perhaps not. I'm just having a little think. Now, there was a double-decker bus sitting there 5 minutes ago. I have no idea what I've done with it. There it is. As a friend of mine said, if it were a snake, it would have bitten me. Right, I've just gone off and measured the canopies. They're 20 inches each. That's a total of 40 inches. So let's measure that out on the platforms. Right, well, there we go. The right thing to do would be to cut the canopies to the size I want them rather than cutting the layout to fit the canopies, if you see what I mean. So the back of the bus is 40 inches away from the start of the ramp. So that's the absolute furthest the top can come if I'm not going to cut the canopies. With that station building there, that's making me nervous. So we're going to move it more to where I think it probably would be. Somewhere there. It's just the level. The tape measure now, this platform is longer again. So the platforms 1 and 2 are longer, not by much, but they are longer than 3 and 4. So what have we got here now? a little bit more than that. So this is about 20 inches. So that puts this platform at a little over 60 inches. So 20 for one canopy, 20 for another, and 20 for this. The proportions are about right. So let's see what 20 inches does for us. So my next job then will be to cut this, square it up with that 20-inch measurement in mind. Then the front to back on this board is 2 feet. It wouldn't be difficult to take the station board all the way, but there's a reason I don't want to do that. I want to be able to lift the station board off without affecting the track. So I need to know what that is. That's 6 inches, is it? Yep. So I've got 18 inches one way. So it's 18 by 20. 18 by 18 is a nice convenient number, but I want to try and, we can always cut it down. We can't glue it on. I wish I could find some more of this stuff. See what I can do. And then the height, well, we can always lob that down. Need to find something like that. The idea then would be to have the arches here so you could look under there and see the trains underneath. It would sit, that would have to sit on the board. There is room there. This is no problem at all. I could drill holes and have pegs for locators there, so 4 of them. That's probably what I would do, but certainly it would stand on the platforms then. What's the next measurement I need? Rail to base. And do I have material? If I were to use this and support it here and here, it probably wouldn't need much this way support, so long as I stay on the platforms. So it doesn't need the big thick support. It's only 18 inches by 20 inches. Right. Do I actually need to cut a template? I think I do. Now, I'm curious. There's a hole in the middle, so I was clearly using this for radius of some sort, and I have no idea what this template was for. Absolutely none. So it's just under the board. It's been there for years, so we're going to cut it up. Right, 18 by 20. What have I got this way? Just 18, okay. I've even got a white pencil, look. 18, there's several marks down this side. And if I mark the 20 at the same time, could go longer. I don't think I'm going to. So we're going to go to 20 there. And the corner under you is a bit dinged, but it won't matter. Come on, get under there. You're in the way, you people. Right, now join the dots. A feeling you don't need to see me doing a little bit of jiggery faffery. Just got a relatively straight edge. I'm just going to draw 2 lines and I'll come back to you. Yeah, now I did tell you what I was going to do. 2 lines, one that way, one that way. All I'm going to do now is cut along those one way or another, and we'll be there. Oh, all right, then I will show you what I'm doing. I don't have a knife. I'm using a buzzy saw, one of these things. It goes like a knife through butter. I'm trying to put it somewhere you can see what I'm up to. It's really awkward. Once you get it started, it rips it through like butter. I will will say one of my favourite tools. It does do much more than it says on the tin. Now then, I am of the opinion that the distance between those two is going to work for me if I use a bit of good old 1/2 inch ply. I'm nervous. I really don't want to get down on top of the trains, and I do need that distance for the wires and so on that comes through the board. But where they go, I've just got to avoid there and there. So I can bring wires straight down there, there. So we actually do, and over there, and there's quite a bit of space over there. So long as I'm planning carefully, we should be all right. Let's keep going. If it were at the level of the track there, you would be able to peer in under arches that were where my fingers are, like so. In fact, if I were clever, the fiddle yard at the back might be able to be included. Now that would be fun. It sort of is here. So there is, you see a train all the way in the back there. It's sort of in the gloaming. Sometimes I leave the carriage lights on and you sort of look under and wonder what's going on. It's a bit of mystique. The reason it works, I think, is because these arches aren't very wide. But yeah, you could, at that point, it would just be intriguing. Vis-a-vis our discussion about I don't like tunnels without dirt on top of them. Well, that's one that does. And that would give a reasonable explanation as to why it was okay. What I'm liking about it, you see that point there, I'm often nervous about that with these hidden trains getting too close to that. They don't, but I'm just a nervous disposition, I suppose. So now we want to cheat that way as far as we can. I don't have a problem with those points being under there. There's another one under there. That's fine. We would have to have girder. Let me see if I can find something. This kind of thing. There's a few of these around the layout. That kind of thing there, I suppose. Two of those would do it. Yeah, do you see where I'm thinking? Why am I going sideways? What if I were to go end on and pushed right up again? You wouldn't then see what was going on in the back, would you? But then, how do you get down to this station, this platform? Station that way around disguises that, this way around does not. So here you would now have to have stairs down. Picking people up. I want it that way around, so the station has to go the other way. I was being American again. What do you think, Charlie? You can't park there, mate. I think we've got a critique. Well, that's an 18 by 20. So I've got 18 inches front to back, 20 inches this way. Could shorten it. Don't think I need to. With a road coming this way. I wonder if there is a paper town scene similar to that. I kind of like that back scene. I wonder if there's a paper town scene. It's a work in progress. This is how I think. This is how I do things, and this is why I end up in a mess. However, I'm going to go away and have a little think. I think we're onto something. It's a way of making it work with what we have without spending huge amounts of money. At just that size, it would lift off nicely. And if I do support it on the platform, nothing underneath is going to scratch anything up. And so I can take it upstairs and work on it there. Kitchen table stuff. Be with the family. Include them. So I have a task list. Go and try and find a station building, something of that kind of footprint. that is more like the one at Loughborough. I had a friend at Loughborough. I think it was Loughborough. Yeah, he lived in Loughborough, but whether the station was there. It's the Great Central Railway, and they have most of their platforms are beneath the stations, it seemed to me. That kind of idea. I don't want to go north with this though, so can't think of a southern station that did that off the top of my head. I'm sure there was one. Now I'll let you into a little secret. I batch make videos, so I sometimes come down here and shoot 2 or 3 at a time, but I can't shoot 2 or 3 videos about making the platforms and making the stations because I don't have the materials. As far as I'm aware, there's nowhere within miles of here that has something like that. And even if they did, it would take me a couple of days to take possession. So I have to order all the way from England. So places like Rails of Sheffield and the Model Centre and whoever knows who else I order things from. So it has to come across the Atlantic and takes time. So that's another reason for working on it remotely. I shall be able to lift that out, put it to one side, and sit back and wait for bits to come. Yes. Oh, for a local model shop that actually had stuff. Oof. Of course, I could get on a plane and fly to England. I do that for work, so you never know. And if I do that, I shall come back with an extra suitcase full of things, I'm quite sure. Well, thanks for watching. You haven't seen a train run, so I will clear this off and see what I can do. I'm intrigued. If he doesn't stop telling me, you can't park there, mate, I should just leave him there and run him over. But, yeah, let's get a train running. All right, let's get the troublemaker out of the way. Come on, you can do better than that. It is a lovely locomotive, I will give it that. I will say that it is nice with all these trains all over the place to be able to send a train off around the tracks and not have to worry that it's going to crash into something. That could easily have been famous last words right there, couldn't it? Well, this one's going to go into the platform over there. I'm trying to think if I've ever driven that train in there before. Don't think I have, but it's there now. Now, in theory, I should, yes, I can, look at that, should be able to do exactly the same thing with another train. So I'm just going to send this one around the same loop and we'll park it in one of the other platforms. But I'm going to stop it first. You see that? This is the one I leaned on 3 videos ago. You've got to have hawk eyes when you run a model railway. It was chugging along quite nicely too. So our station scene then would be, well, these bits of platform would be covered. There would be a canopy over most of the platform, but above the station 2 high level lines with trains thrashing past. Now, while I do have to use my imagination somewhat, I can imagine it. Now then, I want to see if this runs. We know it goes, but how well? Let's have a look. This is the locomotive with the new chip. Well, there we go. Thanks for watching. See you next time.